Easter Island. The more I learn about this magical place, the more amazing it seems to become. I have become consumed by its history. Not only is it many thousands of kilometers from the coast of its nearest inhabited neighbor, but it still possesses features and characteristics that, although largely overlooked by mainstream academia, could unlock certain aspects of our forgotten past. Not only is there confirmed reports of the island once being inhabited by giants, but there exists concrete links to an ancient network of structures which had an as yet unknown function. The island has been visited by numerous talented explorers and historians throughout the modern era, detailing many ancient anomalies upon the island which cannot be explained. The official view is that Easter Island was discovered accidentally by Polynesian migrants in the 4th century AD. Their descendants, living in isolation and having nothing better to do, decided to carve giant statues and build huge platforms. This version of events, however, conveniently avoids any explanation as to how they built the moai. What I have personally discovered is a compelling link to the same civilization who built the pyramids, the ancient sites in Peru, and others which span the earth. Researchers have been connecting characteristics of Easter Island with the pyramids of Giza and numerous other sites for many years, subsequently discovering the suppressed, yet very real, ancient pyramid, which rests upon one of Easter Island's neighboring rocks. Theherdal, a Norwegian explorer, actually investigated this mysterious pyramid. His belief, which he gained from many years of study, was that the Incas actually learned their craft of masonry from their predecessors in Tiwanaku. Excavations of the earth-covered pyramidal mound in Tiwanaku have shown it to be a terraced pyramid from long before the age of the Incas. It is faced with accurately hewn and artistically jointed blocks, just as on Easter Island's neighbor. Local legend stated that a powerful supernatural being named the Auk traveled about the Pacific, prying up whole islands with a gigantic lever and tossing them into the sea. After destroying many islands, he came to the coast of Easter Island, then a much larger land than it is today. Eventually he reached a place on the island where the rocks were so sturdy that his lever broke. And this is what remains of the island today. What is interesting about this story is that it tells of the island once being much larger, a hypothesis strongly supported by numerous areas of study, along with the oldest archaeological remnants upon the island. William Routledge, a British explorer, discovered traces of a track of great antiquity, finally finished, which runs round what is now left of the island. It is known as Ara Mahiva, Ara meaning road, and Mahiva being the name of the spiritual deity believed to have made it. Much of the road which remains is now just a continuous furrow which runs along the northern and western coasts. Routledge said at the time regarding the find, quote, "This silent witness to a forgotten past is one of the most mysterious and impressive things on the island," end quote. The ancient road is also mentioned in a Rongorongo tablet known as a pai. Rongorongo is the written language of the Easter Islanders. Even Orthodox researchers have admitted that the language is a genuine enigma. Rongorongo now survives only as markings on 25 pieces of wood scattered around the world's museums. The tablet contained the following: "When the island was first created and became known to our forefathers, the land was crossed with roads beautifully paved with flat stones. Heki was the builder of these roads, and it was he who sat in the place of honor in the middle where the roads branched in every direction. The roads were cunningly contrived to represent the plan of the web of the grey and black-pointed spider, and no man could discover the beginning or end thereof." Charles Love has examined about 20 kilometers of the 40 kilometers of roads built from Rano Raraku, focusing on the 3 main roadways plus several branch roads, describing his findings as startling. The island's statues, roads, walls and platforms were all clearly built with a forgotten knowledge and were built for a purpose. According to Egyptian legend, the Sphinx contained portals, a topic I have covered previously. According to its function, 2 sphinx would be on separate horizons from one another. With sphinxes and a very ancient pyramid being discovered in Zinda, I suspected this may have been the location of the other site. However, Giza, Zinda and Easter Island lay on a direct line from one another, a line of travel which wraps around to the exact other side of the earth. One of the former names for Easter Island is the navel of the world. The megalithic Inca capital in Peru was called Cuzco, also meaning navel. The same name was also applied in ancient times to many other sacred places for some reason. It is also similar phonetically and semantically to the Egyptian Mot Ra, meaning essentially the eye of the sun. Francis Mazier, who conducted archaeological excavations on the island in 1963, was told by a native elder that the first men to live on the island were the survivors of the world's first race. They were yellow, very big, with long arms, huge ears. Although their lobes were not stretched, they had pure yellow hair and their bodies were hairless and shining. They did not possess fire. This race apparently once existed on 2 other Polynesian islands, and they came by boat from a land that lies behind America. He also noted that most of the island's statues are 5.5 to 7 meters tall, and very few are shorter than 3 meters. About 55 statues are made of other stone, red scoria, basalt, or trachyte. The largest statue ever made, El Gigante, still lies unfinished at Rano Raraku Quarry. It was a monstrous 21.6 meters long and weighed up to 270 tons. Carvers completed the front and sides, but was never liberated from the rock. John Macmillan believed the statues expressed haughty scorn and imperious will. It is the expression of victorious warriors and empire makers. Though the arrogant and resolute look is given to the faces of all the statues, it is never the same on 2. Everyone looks as if it had been intended to be an individual portrait. Was Easter Island intended to be a temple celebrating death and the path of the sun, that during its original construction was halted due to some form of cataclysm? It would appear, according to the information gathered thus far, that a pre-Incan civilization originally constructed a temple upon this once larger Polynesian island, that subsequently fell into the sea. The remnants of this forgotten people would continue their lives upon the island, passing on a form of this forgotten knowledge which built the pyramids, constructed the statues, and was responsible for many other ancient sites across the world. The figures are as hard as bone below the outer surface, and so is the exterior surface where it has not been subjected to the rain. At one point, an attempt was made to decapitate a statue. It ended in complete failure. Using a hammer and chisel, a member of Heyerdahl's team took half an hour to chip off a bit of rock smaller than the size of a fist in the quarry. At some point in time, it would appear, this last remaining group of people who possessed this lost knowledge was finally extinguished from history. It seems the island's subsequent inhabitants attempted their feat, as when modern explorers made it to the island, the quarry was littered with thousands of crude pickaxes, known as toki, made of dense basalt. Heyerdahl discovered these tools to be useless at quarrying the hard stone. The islanders had a legend that the statues were moved to the platforms and raised upright by the use of mana, a form of supernatural mind power. Either the god Makemake, or priests or chiefs commanded them to walk or to float through the air. The use was made of a finely crafted stone sphere, 75 centimeters in diameter, called Tepi Tokara. Interestingly, it translates as the golden navel, or the navel of light. Their mana would then make the statues walk out of the quarry and across the island in a clockwise spiral. Francis Mazier was one of the few scholars to take the legends about mana seriously. Quote, "What if certain men at a certain period were able to make use of electromagnetic or anti-gravitational forces? On the side of the volcano there is something wonderfully strange. Here statues were brought down over the top of dozens of others, without leaving any marks. Yet the movement of 10 or 20 tons is by no means child's play. The natives said that everything died on Easter Island when mana left it, while at the same time I see the amazing evidence of a quite extraordinary past. It may be that parapsychology will find a sympathetic vibration in this island with its perturbed, confusing magnetism." End quote. Some, the ceremonial platforms, are quite small, but others, the older platforms, are remarkable pieces of engineering, 150 meters or more long, and up to 7 meters in height. Some require the moving of 300 to 500-ton stones, while the Tahai complex comprised of 3 structures requiring the movement of 23,000 cubic meters of rock and earth, weighing an estimated 2,000 tons. Moai statues are also exclusive to the Rapa Nui people, and the techniques used to move them and carve them is clearly something they learnt from the original group of inhabitants. I now strongly believe that upon and around the island there are numerous undiscovered giant skeletons of a forgotten race, along with many ancient ruins which have been lost to history. With a surviving language unlike anywhere on Earth, advanced building techniques buried under past events, the connection of other ancient sites across the world to Easter Island becomes undeniable. What amazing secrets lay in this once forgotten place just waiting to be discovered, only time will tell.